We've got to keep watch and not be taken over. Luke 21:34 says, but watch yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down, and that day come upon you suddenly like a trap. Watch that you're not taken over by these things. Now, if we had said that in 2019, we'd have said, okay, what things? But when you come into 2020, you say, okay, I understand. Things change like that. Everything's wiped off the board. You don't know what this is going to be. Uncertainty is all around you. Everything is become difficult or challenging or uncertain in all of this. And you realize things can change like that. And he's saying, watch that you don't get caught up. There are many times in this 6 months, I could feel myself starting to get caught up in some things, starting to get caught up in negativity, starting to get caught up in feeling fearful. When is this going to get ordered again? When are we going to have some normalcy to our lives? Getting caught up in even the angst that is out there. Just wondering, why are these people saying this? Just being frustrated with all the arguing about masks and all this other kind of stuff. You just realize I can get caught up in this. He's saying, watch yourself, stay alert, be on guard, that your hearts don't get weighed down. You have to fight to not get caught up in this. You have to keep watch. If you're not aware what your heart is doing, you can be neck deep in some of the stuff that's going on and not even have a clue that it's happening. All you know is you don't feel like coming to church, you just rather watch Netflix, or you don't feel like doing things, you just rather sit back. You can look at the fruit and say, something's wrong with the fruit that's going on here. He said, guard your heart that you're not being weighed down. You have to fight to not get caught up in the stress, the pressure, the discouragement. God said as time gets later, more and more shakings will come. And they're going to increase in measure and magnitude. They're not going to get less. I mean, some of the memes I saw, if we think this is bad, we should read the book of Revelation. I mean, there's times I read the book of Revelation and weep because things are coming on earth and nobody repents. They don't repent because they're full of indignation. And I could see that happening. And you realize, friends, we need to be moving with him, not getting caught up in all the noise and all the stuff out there. Fear and anxiety is going to be going, or we're going to be growing in faith. You can't go both ways. You're either growing in faith, and this is driving you into a deeper trust with God, or you're beginning to just get worked up. Either you're beginning to get the deceptions and all the theories and all the people's ideas. I mean, I am sick of all the theories of how you should do all this kind of stuff. There's so much no truth that you don't even know where to put your feet. But if you're in that kind of place, then if you're children of God, you should be saying, I don't want all that. I need to hear what God's saying. I mean, you're either getting caught up in the theories or you're beginning to long for the voice of God because I've got to hear him. I've got to hear what he's saying because I can't trust that other stuff out there. You're going one of two ways. Say, don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in the divisiveness and the angst. I'm telling you, what's going on in our society should cause us to say, I don't hope in our institutions to save us anymore. I put my hope in Jesus Christ, and I'm crying out to him, and I'm seeking him. They're not going to do it. I'm needing God to come and move in power. You're either getting caught up in that, and he's saying, if you want to know how to go through this, don't get caught up. See, we're being pulled by pressures and anxieties, how we deal with COVID, what do we do with work, how do we deal with school, what do we do with money? And I've heard so many people say, I don't know how to handle all of this. It's so stressful. And he's saying, take heed. Take heed. And that means I need to draw near to Christ. I need to pay attention. I'm not just putting it on cruise control and leaning back, not caring what I'm thinking, feeling, where my heart and mind are going. We're going the wrong way if we're trying to manage ourselves and everything in this crisis. We're supposed to be drawing closer to Christ and rising in faith and trust in him and being led and empowered by him. If we're just doubling down on self-reliance, we're going the wrong way. You're going to be stressed. You're going to falter. You're going to see you can't hold your position. You're going to see you're beginning to wear out. But if you're going further into Christ, going deeper into Christ, holding on closer to Christ, you're going to begin to wear. He's beginning to raise you up to something that you weren't before this time began. Take heed. Jesus said, this is how it will be for everybody who sits on the face of the earth. This is not a one-day event. This is a tide that's going to rise over time. That's one of the things I became aware of. I just pictured we're going to go along, all of a sudden Jesus comes back. And you realize, no, he describes all these waves that are shaking, this intensity that's going to keep building and building and building. It's kind of like that frog in the kettle just sitting there. And for the people that aren't paying attention, the kettle's going to keep getting hotter and hotter until they're cooked in it. But believers, you're not supposed to be caught unaware. You're supposed to be building yourself, your family, the church to stand, to be drawing deeper into Christ. And I say to you, as time and pressure is building, are you going deeper in? Or are you getting caught up? Sincerely, if we're getting caught up, we need to turn around and do a U-turn tonight. You realize there's going to be anti-Christian attitudes growing. You see them in the world today. They're going to be growing. Are you allowing him to build you to stand so you can hold your faith in the midst of that pressure? He describes there's going to be wickedness increasing. You're going to be pressed to compromise in sin and begin to give in to the things. You've already seen that in our last 10, 15 years. You feel the encroachments coming. Are you going to be strengthened and stand against that? Or is it going to hook you? Betrayal and anger is going to rise. And you're going to be contaminated. Your heart is going to be hardened and drift from the love of God. If you do not allow him to draw you into you, if you do and his love shines, you will be like a light in a dark world. You realize if we don't wake up and move with him, you begin to fall behind time. And you feel like you're further and further away from where you're supposed to be. Jesus says, take heed that you don't get caught in these things. It's not God's plan that believers get caught in this tide. So he warns us that these things are going to come. Wake up when they come. They're birth pangs. Become attentive. Become focused on me. If you do not respond to the wake-up call, you're going to begin to find your strength is not enough to stand.